everyone, welcome to week 9. This week we're focusing on an animated logo. I'm going to show you a really cool tool that I like to use, and we're going to do a little bit of a critique. Alright, so the Puppet Pin Tool. I think a lot of you will like this, and looking back at previous assignments you may think, man, it would have been so much easier if I would have known about this tool. I'm sorry, I do like to save it until a little bit into the course, just so you get everything down first. So the Puppet Pin Tool. This tool has actually developed a lot in the past 2 versions, or 3 versions. I believe in 2018 they added a bunch of different buttons, so we will see, but it's this little tack looking button, Command P to get to the pin tool. I'm going to show you first, let me delete this, on a picture of myself because I'm going to really mess it up, so I didn't want to do anybody else. These buttons. So the Puppet Position Pin Tool is kind of what the pin tool used to be. So we can set positions, so let's say my eyes and my nose. Okay, I have 3 position pins here. What I can do is now take those and move them. And it kind of turns your picture or whatever into, let me click off of it so you can kind of see here. You can morph your pictures. So, like, I don't know if you guys have seen those kind of creepy videos where someone is smiling and then the smile gets bigger and bigger and their cheeks move and it's kind of like melting. This is a tool that kind of can do that. Now, what you'll notice is it breaks down your picture, your drawing, whatever. So if I only have these 2 pins, if I move the eye, it's moving the entire side of the piece. You want to kind of tell it what you want to move and how you want to move it. So let's say I always wanted my nose to remain as is. We have the Starch Pin Tool. And what this does is it keeps this stiff. Think of like starch in clothes. So now if I go back and grab this, you see that the nose isn't moving as much. Now I don't have any on the forehead or the rest of my face, so it is hard to kind of adjust this. So this is why you need to think of your object as a whole. Now, we have the Bend Pin Tool, and these are kind of the newer ones. If we look, anytime I make a pin, it's going to add layer inside of your layer. So for instance, let's say I do a bend. We want my forehead to bend. You can see under Gen, Puppet, Mesh 1, I've got Puppet Pin 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All of these are animatable. But you'll see with this 5th one that I did, which is my bend pin, I have a scale and a rotation, whereas my first ones only have a position. So if you're just going to kind of deal with position, you'll just use the Position Pin Tool if you want to do bend. So we can see I can actually rotate or I can scale. Now with this, I can adjust with clicking and dragging up here, or I can always, maybe I'm Mega Mind now. Okay. The Advanced Puppet Pin Tool, so let's do some of these. The Advanced is position, rotation, and scale. Again, this is a newer tool. It hasn't been out forever, but I would generally recommend this one. So I can move it, rotate, and scale. Okay? So again, all of these are animatable. By default, you'll see that these are turned on in setting keys. So I do not need 15 seconds. Let's zoom this in. but you can play around with this. Okay? So I would recommend just having fun and kind of looking through this to see. There are more options with this, but I'm going to mainly focus with this. Of course, we can still parent, we can still do a lot of things with this. Now, for a more realistic approach, I've got this dog that I showed you earlier. You could do a walk cycle, you can do an animation, I can make his tail wag, all as having this as one layer. Okay, so this is all one layer. I brought it in as footage instead of a composition. So you can see I just have the Duick dog right here. So what you can do, and think about your different tools. Again, I have a tendency to just use the advanced and the starch. You can do an overlap as well if you have close pins. But if I know starch, I would like his upper leg and lower leg, those should stay still. I want his feet, his knees to bend, maybe I want his head, his tail, and then again, I want his body to kind of stay put, but I'm gonna do position pins so that I can also animate these if I choose to. And then I'm gonna add an advanced to his ears. Actually, I'm just going to do one. So it does take a lot of setup, and you'll find, like, if I were to go to move something, if you're like, oh, I don't like how that's moving, then you may need to move the position of the pin tool. You may need to play around with what you're doing. But so, for example, I could do something like this, move it forward. Now you can see I can get kind of a nice animation. Now be careful because sometimes it does lose scale, it does lose kind of the integrity of your original image. But I could rotate this, get its nose up, let's get this tail wagging. So you can see from a still image, I can really kind of get a nice animation from it. And you can copy and paste these. Now again, this gets a little complicated because we've got a lot of pins, a lot of properties for each pin, but you can still go through, and let's say I wanted it to go back. I could copy Command-C, Command-V. Now you see the top of the head's going back. I can look through this. Command-C, Command-V. So you can copy and paste things to get kind of a loop. You can see his foot's moving now. Okay? So again, I think this is a really fun tool to use. Sometimes it's tough to keep it super clean. So especially if you're looking at our next assignment, make sure you're thinking about how you can use this to the best of its abilities. You don't need to use this for your next assignment, but I do want you to be aware. If you want to kind of take a look at previous assignments that you've done and how you could use it, that would be cool too. We're going to do an animation to sound critique. So clean up your animation and post it here for critique. Post your project and explain what you were trying to create by Wednesday. Critique a minimum of 2 of your classmates' posts by Sunday. Give suggestions, ask questions, grow a discussion about it. If you want here to post something using the puppet tool as well, you're welcome, or the pin tool, you're welcome to. All right, I'll go back to this in 1 second. Your assignment due Sunday, create a logo in Illustrator. This can be your own logo, like a Jen Fuller logo, or a logo for a fake company, Jen's Arts and Crafts. You want to make sure your logo has layers. I would recommend a simple image to go along with text. Think about how you want to animate your logo, what pieces you will need to make in Illustrator. Bring the logo into After Effects and give it an animation. Make sure that it's straightforward and memorable. Think about if you wanted to add sound or if it's not needed. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll take a look, and it's due Sunday. So, what am I talking about? Well, here's some inspirations for you. These can be fairly simple. They can be pretty complicated. It's about drawing in your audience and thinking about what your target audience should be. Animated logos kind of take it up to the next level. So you need to have a successful logo standing alone before your animation is going to really add to it. But I'll let you guys look through these. And then see what you think. And here are some, since we talked about masks last week, here are some animated logos that would use masks. So you can think about masks, why and where to use animated logos, and some tips. Don't stay still. Why does a brand need an animated logo? It's really an interesting and memorable first impression. It keeps things, yes, we can remember a logo, but it helps it stick even further when it's animated. I think currently we're in a very animation-based time. It adds a story to the logo that maybe a still image couldn't have by itself. I'll let you read through both of these. But really, unique, helps with brand awareness, keeps you wanting to find out more. And then here are a few tips. Again, you don't want to make it too complicated. Just like with a logo, you need to think about where this would be placed, who would be looking at it, and why. So do a little research. Look at what animated logos are out there, what motion graphics are being used, and what you like and how you can use that for your own. Again, email me along the way if you want me to look at your logo as is, if you want me to take a look at your ideas. I would think about storyboarding these, so don't just go with the first idea. And don't go necessarily with the most obvious idea. We've done 3D, so maybe you're doing a house project logo and you're like, I'm going to have the walls climb up. You can, but think about stepping out of the box. All right? Hope you have a great week, and let me know if you have any questions.